Fam, what's good? This your boy Thou, FamOverTV. I appreciate everybody tapping into the channel, showing love, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. These videos are for entertainment purposes only. You know what I'm saying? Salute. Happy Martin Luther King Day to everybody. Salute to Martin Luther King. We're going to be doing some videos, looking over some stuff over him and checking out some TikToks and some crazy stuff. See what they saying. The whole thing about his assassination and everything, what was it and everything. I know growing up, they didn't teach us too much in school about Martin Luther King, but my mother, she was real, she spoke very highly of him. So we're going to check him out, man. You know what I'm saying? He did change a lot for us. So salute to everybody. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And let's get it. What's up to everybody? What's up, CC?
Umar, how in the hell can the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. be a hero to a revolutionary Pan-Africanist? He wasn't focused on Africa. He wasn't about fighting the white man. You know why Dr. King is one of my heroes? I don't judge my heroes based on ideology. You feel me? I might get my associates and soldiers based on ideology. We ain't struggling unless you're a Pan-Africanist. But my heroes is based on their sacrifice for the people. Dr. King gave his life. Dr. King did not have to do what he did. Dr. King was born in a well-to-do, famous family. His father and grandfather were well-known preachers. Dr. King could have been a T.D. Jakes. Dr. King could have been a Creflo Dollar. He did not have to put his life on the line for black people. His house got bombed twice with his wife and kids in it. The average Negro would have gave up then. Dr. King said, nah, I'm not giving up. So people can criticize Dr. King all they want. Who else got their house bombed twice and stayed with the movement? These Negroes don't even want to donate to a movement, much less risk their life for it. Dr. King struggled for us. And even though he's considered nonviolent, when they went up against them dogs and them hoses, ain't nothing nonviolent about getting bit by dogs. You know there was elders who got their breast bit off? The dog bit the breast off. Dr. King went to jail over 100 times. The nationalists wasn't going to jail for black people. They were talking shit while Dr. King was struggling. You see that? So for me, can't nobody say nothing to me about Dr. King. He wasn't perfect, but guess what? He's the last leader. He's the last leader in Black America to give you a serious, comprehensive plan for systemic change, politically, socially, and economically. Jesse Jackson ain't done that. Al Sharpton ain't done that. Nobody you can name has done anything even close to Dr. King, and we 55 years since he was murdered. So can't nobody say nothing to me about Dr. King. Every time I go to Atlanta, as much as I can when I'm in Atlanta, I go to Dr. King grave and I sit there and I get my sage out and I burn it and I talk to Dr. King, him and Queen Mother Coretta Scott King, because in my position with what I'm trying to do, I'm picking up where he left off, not with the integration. I'm coming another way with the nationalism. But Dr. King had a little Pan-Africanism because after Malcolm got murdered in '65, Dr. King goes to Jamaica. He meets with the Garveyites in Jamaica. He visits Marcus Garvey's gravesite. And they give him a thorough education on what Garveyism is all about. Dr. King said Marcus Garvey was the first black man to give out people a large, serious movement for change. And when Dr. King came back from visiting the Garveyites in Jamaica, he started sounding like Malcolm. He started sounding like Garvey. Listen to Dr. King the last year of his life. He ain't preaching no damn integration. He preaching Garvey. When Kwame Nkrumah led Ghana to its independence on March 6, 1957, who was in that audience in Ghana celebrating the independence of the first post-colonial state? Dr. King and Coretta. He wasn't out with his Pan-Africanism, you feel me? But Dr. King had a space in his heart for Pan-Africanists. And he was definitely influenced by Garvey because the last year of his life, he was talking Garveyism. And that's why they had to die. Dr. King didn't die for integration. Dr. King died for economic revolution. The reason Dr. King was murdered, after he left Memphis, he was on his way to Washington, D.C. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference was spearheading a breadbasket campaign. He was taking poor people of every color, but he was taking poor people to the nation's capital. Nobody was leaving unless they left with a job and a house. And Lyndon Baines Johnson and J. Edgar Hoover lost their mind. They said, if you let this Negro come to the nation's capital with all these poor people from across the country and erect a tent city and nobody leaving without a job or a house, it will embarrass this country and might lead to social revolution.
Damn.
Dr. King is the first man since Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, in my opinion, who damn near brought America to its knees. That's why they killed him. Not for integration, but for economic liberation.
And it just made me think about...
Hey, salute to Dr. Umar Johnson, man. He be talking some real stuff too. But yeah, man, Dr. King, man. How many of y'all, everybody didn't visit Atlanta and went to his, like, we visited his house. I remember a long time ago when I was young going with my parents. Then I remember, once I got older, graduated from college, I moved to Atlanta. I remember going down and checking out this spot, like where he used to live and all that stuff. But Dr. King was very, 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 very important to our history. You know what I'm saying? As of what I know, you know what I'm saying, from being young and learning everything, he was the one that was speaking for us and integrated everything. Made us be able to coincide and work with other colors and other races and stuff. You feel me? So, but it'd be some people talking bad about, Martin Luther King and stuff, but ain't nobody perfect. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he probably did things too. So I don't know. Make sure y'all like the video. Appreciate everybody in the building. Let's keep it going.
Martin Luther King, right before he got assassinated, 3 months before that, you know what he said to the country?
Bonjour, Martin.
He said, I think I made a big mistake.
Yeah.
He said, I think I've led black folk into a burning building.
Burning building, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And because he says, he said you cannot have social integration unless you have economic integration. Mm-hmm. And you cannot have economic integration unless you do what? Unless you redistribute some of these resources into the hands of black folk. And that's when they killed him.
Damn. See?
He was what you're fixing to witness now is the man who came by to get King to take him to dinner. And 30 years later at a press conference, he slipped because God do baffle your mind sometimes. You look,
some of the activities are geared especially for the young who did not have a chance to get to feel or to know what the civil rights movement actually was about. Even as they marched, now they could have stopped in a hotel, but when you think about marching from Memphis to Jackson or Jackson to Memphis, there were no hotels. You stayed in churches, you stayed in people's homes, and that's how we got over, that's how we got through. The struggle was a spiritual struggle. You couldn't pay people to do what we had to do. You couldn't pay people to stand before mad dogs and fire hoses and billy clubs and cattle prods. It was strictly a spiritual and moral movement. So we wanted that dimension to be in the pilgrimage to Memphis. We will revisit the mountaintop speech site. That's the Mason's Temple, where Dr. King made his last address, which he almost didn't make, because the night that we were having that rally, there were tornado warnings, and he was behind on the Poor People's Campaign. And he said, you guys go on over and have the rally. I'm going to stay at the motel and work on the Poor People's Campaign. When we got there and Dr. Abernathy walked in and Jesse Jackson walked in and I walked in and others, people started clapping because they thought Martin was behind us. And so Ralph's preacher sense said to him, this is not our crowd. And he went to the phone and called Dr. King. And any of the marches that we had in those days, you have an opportunity to bring the children and bring the family and march with us. And when I finished sharing with them the last hour of Dr. King's life, a hurry, but that gave me the wonderful privilege of spending the last hour on earth. 3 preachers in a room, Abernathy, King, and Kyle. And we spent that last hour together in room 306 at the Lorraine Motel. The press is always curious, and writers, what Went on. What did you talk about? I said, we just talk preacher talk. What preachers talk about when they get together?
Y'all pay real attention
and all
to
the
what
like.
you're fixing to hear now.
About 5:45, we walked on the balcony, and he was talking to people in the courtyard. He stood here and I stood there. Only as I moved away, so we could have a clear shot, the shot rang out.
Thank you.
I turned around and then knocked him back on the balcony.
Did y'all just hear him, man? He slipped up, y'all. He said they walked on the balcony. He's like, as I walked away so they can have a clear shot. And he was shot. Like, did y'all hear that? Man, it's crazy. It's just... Anyway, man, salute to Martin Luther King, man. Salute to the doctor, man. Dr. Martin Luther King. What they did back then, it take a lot. I'm grateful for them, for all those that protested for us, that got fire hosed and beat with billy clubs and locked up and sacrificed their life and everything for us to just, you know what I'm saying, try to push some type of equality among everybody. So, you know what I'm saying, I got to salute them and everything. But my man right here, he's supposed to have been Dr. King homie and everything, man. Did y'all just hear what he said?
Thank you.
I turned around in the courtyard. He stood here and I stood there. Only as I moved away, so we could have a clear shot, the shot rang out.
Thank you.
I turned around and then knocked him.
Only as I moved away so they can have a clear shot, the shot rang out. I don't know if he accidentally said it like that and it just came out and we, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It might have been an accident and it just came out like that, and just, y'all know how it just is being ran with right now. What's up? Good evening to everybody. So I don't know, man, but that's crazy, man. I'll play it one more time, man, so y'all can hear it.
Y'all pay real attention
and
to
all the
what
like.
you're fixing to hear now.
About 5:45, we walked on the balcony, and he was talking to people in the courtyard. He stood here and I stood there. Only as I moved away, so we could have a clear shot, the shot rang out.
Thank you.
I turned around and then knocked him back on the balcony.
Listen. Oh.
Yeah, salute to Dick Gregory, man. Rest in peace to Dick Gregory. Like, he was one of the ones that was exposing and speaking the truth too, man. Salute to him. Make sure y'all like the video. Appreciate everybody in the building, man. Let's keep it going, though. It's crazy.
Wait, listen. Listen. 30 years later, this brother never realized he would slip and stay there.
Do y'all think that was a slip up, or do y'all think that was just like it came back on him and just that's how it came? What y'all think? I said Coretta Scott King was an Eastern Star. That means she was the Lady Mason or whatever. Time profile. Damn, next Netflix.
MLK was killed by the CIA. The King family and others believed that the assassination was the result of a conspiracy involving the CIA, the Mafia and Memphis police, as alleged by Lloyd Jowers in 1993. They believed that James Earl Ray was a scapegoat. In 1999, the family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Jowers for the sum of $10 million. During closing arguments, their attorney asked the jury to award damages of $100 to make the point that it was not about the money. During the trial, both sides presented evidence alleging a government conspiracy. Based on the evidence, the jury concluded that Jowers and others were part of a conspiracy to kill King and awarded the family $100. The allegations and the finding of the jury were later disputed by the US Department of Justice in 2000 because of the lack of evidence.
Damn. Hey. Man. It's videos for entertainment purposes only, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Rest up to the doctor, man. Martin Luther King. Checking out some of these videos. It's crazy videos. I definitely believe it was a play put on Martin Luther King. And that dude that they said did it, I believe he did it or something. You know what I'm saying? I believe he had something to do with it, but I believe like he was placed there. He was planted, you know what I'm saying, by them. So I feel like it was a play. And the dude that killed him, man, I forgot his I forgot his name, man, but they say he had just got out of prison. He had just got out. So I just feel like, you know what I'm saying, he was just like the, you know, the fall back guy that they was gonna put it on and everything. They made him do it and shit, but it's definitely it was a bigger play. Now, why they did it, I don't know why. I know it ain't because of the integration stuff, because it happened. You know what I'm saying? They would have been killed him. That was the reason.
Actually died.
See, most of us think that we know exactly how he died, how he was shot, and it was an open and shut case.
Because as we know, James Earl Ray, after he pled guilty, meant there was no trial. So this is the only trial that's ever been held. Now, we're all familiar with the official story of this lone gunman, right, in 67.
James Earl Ray shot him.
You know, he was in jail for armed robbery. He somehow escaped.
Admitted to it.
Right, and William Pepper told me that the only reason James pled guilty is because it was the only way to save his life. So like I said, I spoke to Dr. Pepper earlier today. Here's what he had to say about the way Dr. Martin Luther King was actually killed.
He wasn't killed from the bullet that hit him on the balcony. He was taken to the St. Joseph's Hospital, and he was killed in the emergency room of St. Joseph's Hospital.
Damn, listen, I heard about this story too. Like, I don't know. Like, I heard about this story too. They said, like, when he was shot in the hotel room, he didn't die, you know. Like that's what they taught us in school and everything. Like, they killed him at the hotel or whatever. And I mean, he was assassinated like that and everything. But that's what I always thought, you know. But they say he went to the hospital and he was, you know what I'm saying, killed at the hospital. So I don't know, man. But we know they've been doing this type of stuff forever. So I'm not going to be surprised. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all like the video. Appreciate everybody.
By the chief of neurosurgery, Dr. Breed Bland, who came in when they were all working on him in the emergency room, and he said, "Get out of here, let that die."
Damn.
And as they moved out of the room, the last one out was a surgical nurse, Lula Mae Shelby, and when she heard them gathering up spit in their lungs to spit on Martin's body lying on a bed there, then she saw Dr. Bland take the catheters out of Martin's body and take the pillow from under his head and put it over his face and suffocate him.
Damn.
That's how Martin King died. That's how he was really assassinated. Now, he might have died anyway from the bullet wounds, but he didn't. He was still alive and still breathing. The chief neurosurgeon, he intervened and he made sure that death would result.
Now listen, y'all. I don't know. This is you know what I'm saying? Allegedly, this videos is for entertainment purposes only. This is my first time hearing this interview. I don't even know who that is speaking. You know what I'm saying? We don't know if this is true or not, but I done heard the stories. It's matching up with some of the stories I done heard. But if it did go like that, man, that is awful. It's crazy, man. Make sure y'all like the video.
Wow.
Right? My jaw was on the floor. Now, Dr. Pepper knows this because the son of the nurse, Lula Mae Shelby, who died, but before she died told her family, the son of this nurse told Dr. Pepper under oath. And when Dr. Pepper confronted a member of the Dixie Mafia, he said, yes, this happened, and actually that the chief of surgery was their family doctor, and that 3 weeks before the assassination, he visited them and said, hey, if the bullet doesn't kill him, make sure he goes to St. Joseph's, because we will make sure that he died. And that this was...
Man, this shit crazy, man. And that's just Martin Luther King, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Salute to the king, but that's him. Imagine how many other ones they did like that wasn't big as Martin Luther King. That was like, you know what I'm saying, probably local heroes doing little stuff and everything, man. But man, it's crazy, man. It's like, man, they've been evil and cruel for so long, man. This shit.
Was a real conspiracy, a conspiracy between the U.S. military, the Memphis PD, and Dixie Mafia, these crime figures. And the real shooter, I gotta say this, even though we can't get to the whole story, was Frank Strouser. He was a Memphis police officer, the best shot in the Memphis PD, and he was the one who actually fired the fatal shot.
If you're a true crime enthusiast, listen up. There is a podcast that is done by the same people who do Radio Rental. It's called the MLK Tapes. It's by Tenderfoot TV. And it is all about the truth behind the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. The story goes that this was actually a inside job by the United States government, and James Earl Ray was kind of just the fall guy. And this speech that Martin Luther King Jr. gave about the war in Vietnam was thought to have been kind of the catalyst of what set this off, because it was an anti-war speech. You can listen to this on Spotify, on Apple Music, pretty much anywhere you listen to a podcast to. There's a lot of stuff on here that I had never heard, and they've got a lot of evidence to back this stuff up.
Have FBI files say Martin loved white women and who?
At many points turned into a nightmare.
What did he think of the Negro leaders, Martin Luther King, for example? Did he ever mention?
Well, I don't know what he, well, I do know what he thought of him later. Well, he said what an incredible speaker he was during that Freedom March thing, and you know, when he acknowledged that having made that call during the campaign got them. Then he told me of a tape that the FBI had of Martin Luther King when he was here for the Freedom March. And he said this with no bitterness or anything. How he was calling up all these girls and arranging for a party of men and women, I mean, sort of an orgy in the hotel and everything.
Martin Luther King?
Oh, yeah. And first he said, oh, well, you know, and I said, oh, but Jack, that's so terrible. I mean, that man is, you know, such a phony then. No, this was when there was just one girl. They had the conversation. And Jack said, oh, well, you know, he would never judge anyone in any sort of way. Oh, well, you know, they never really said anything against Martin Luther King. Since then, Bobby's told me of the tapes of these orgies they have, and had Martin Luther King made fun of Jack's funeral and made fun of Cardinal Cushing and said that he was drunk at it, and things about they almost dropped the coffin. Well, I mean, Martin Luther King is really a tricky person, but I wouldn't know. He never said anything against Martin Luther King to me, so I don't know if Bobby would be the one to find out what he ever really thought of in that way. But Bobby told me later. I just can't see a picture of Martin Luther King without thinking, you know, that man's terrible.
Martin Luther.
Man, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe he did. You know what I'm saying? Martin Luther King might have liked white women. You know, he might have. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That don't take away from him being a good person or a bad person, or, you know what I'm saying? But you feel me? So we don't know. We don't even know if that's true or not. Maybe the FBI might have made that shit up, trying to push it out there to push a narrative or something. Like, I don't know. Maybe Martin was knocking down some white women. They probably loved Martin because, you know what I'm saying, he was the hero. He was fighting for everybody. So I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Make sure y'all like the video.
King Jr. Born January 15, 1929. Was an American Baptist minister and activist. Martin Luther King Jr. About time I got to this fake dreamster. Wow. Martin Fake Dream King was living a lie. And he was put in position by the elites to be a leader in the civil rights movement. But after talking to my reliable sources, they confirmed to me that Martin I had a scheme. King was a puppet for the elites.
What?
And he was proud of it. Wow.
They say he was a puppet for the elites and he was proud of it. Man, they be
When
saying
FBI tapes claimed to expose her husband's alleged infidelities, although Mrs. King denied any truth to the rumors.
So all this stuff is fabricated. And I think that was Martin's great concern, that something could happen like that. Because, see, my husband was one of the most moral persons that I have ever known. And, I mean, at every level, personally as well as publicly. I mean, he struggled to make sure that he was worthy of the respect and the love that people had for him.
She said, I know my husband. And if he...
Man, that's crazy. So Martin Luther King was a Mason, man. Man, so what if his whole thing, we thinking Martin was like what if this whole time he been, you know what I'm saying, connected with them and it was just a play, y'all. Like, yeah, we gonna use Martin, you know what I'm saying, to be our front runner for them and whatever. And he been, you know what I'm saying, connected and doing little stuff, deals and stuff with them behind our back the whole time. And then maybe not. Maybe like the government like had did this to make it seem like he was cheating and liking these women and doing all that stuff, trying to smear his name and make, you know what I'm saying? So one day it might look like this, like he was that type of person. So I don't know, man. Y'all know how tricky they is. Make sure y'all like the video.
were having an affair, I would know.
The couple had been married for almost 15 years when on April 4th, 1968, Dr. King was assassinated.
All right, so I hate when I really get comments like this or hear this all over the internet. I know white women who marched with Martin Luther King. Firstly, let's talk about Martin Luther King, because Martin Luther King and his march, his speech, and everything else was a very small part of history. I'm talking about going way back to that whole Mayflower ship. I'm talking about how it is that white women got their start, how white women had the ability to have the freedom it is that they have to practice the practices that they are allowed to practice outside of Christianity and Catholicism. And what bothers me most is how people only like to go as far back as slavery when it comes to history. There's so much history before then, and there's so much history after that. We have to stop using Martin Luther King as the only pivotal person in history who fought and did anything, because there are tons of women who are not mentioned throughout history. I know lots of white women who go to rallies for Black Lives Matter when they don't really care about Black Lives Matter. A lot of them are undercover agents, meaning they're a part of the KKK. There are a lot of things that I know. And so this comment right here has no valid point whatsoever. This movement happened in the 60s. And I'm talking about the moment that y'all came on the ships, how the ghetto dwellings were built for you, and how then y'all turned around, band together with white supremacists, and turned your back on Black women in support of white supremacy. Had y'all had stuck with us, there wouldn't have been a need for the civil rights movement. And even Martin Luther King had the help of a Black woman through everything. He went to tarot readers and soothsayers and medicine women and the like. So I wish people would stop bringing up Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all those others, because again, that is only a small part of history for only a small part of time. And many of these individuals got their mark in history the way that they did for a particular reason. Even with some of them, they were in cahoots with the other team. But I'm specifically talking about black women and white women. And yes, some white women just got tired of the crap and eventually started trying to stand up for racism. But those were far and few.
Man. Man. Listen, y'all. I don't listen. First of all, if Martin Luther King was cheating or you know what I'm saying, messing with white women, whatever. Like I'm not judging whatever, you know what I'm saying? He was human. I'm sure he was messing with some women and doing something, you know what I'm saying? But far as like the message I thought he was pushing, far as like one equality for all of us, you know what I'm saying, without violence. For me to hear that he's a Mason and he was like in cahoots with some of these the elites and everything, like this is just crazy because I thought Martin would be one of the ones like, man, I ain't like I'm against that type, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of like mess with me hearing that, man. Man, our history, man. Like I said, we don't even know our history, man. They done lied to us so much, we don't know, y'all. Make sure y'all like the video, man. Appreciate everybody in the building. This shit crazy.
Martin.
And as far as like leaders and everything, though, I do think Martin Luther King was one of the top ones up there, like that did something. Like if he was a plant, he did, you know what I'm saying, fight for integration and all that type of stuff. But like the other leaders, our fake leaders, like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and them motherfuckers, man, they did never do nothing but just come around when there was some money to be made or something, man. So I don't know.
Luther King, now I have a dream speak. Now I wasn't the best student, but all I can remember from that shit was I have a dream, little black boys and girls will one day hold hands with white boys and girls. But this speech wasn't quite as innocent as I thought. But
Right.
Look at this. Our nation was born in genocide when we embraced the doctrine that the original American, the Indian, was an inferior race. That's a hell of a hint. Come on with me now. Because he goes on to say, 100 years later, the colored American is languished in the corner of American society and finds himself exiled in his own land. We came to cash a check. That was a promissory note for us to fall heir. Definition of heir. A person legally entitled to property or rank of another on that person's death. American originally applied to Aboriginals or copper color races found here by Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America.
In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic, the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This sweltering summit of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until that is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. Those who hope that the Negro needed to blow off steam and will now be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual.
Gangster.
We know they like cover-ups, but it didn't help the picture used was from a different incident which helped them discredit it as being true.
Man, Martin Luther King, he was about to go, he was trying to go get some paper for us, you know what I'm saying? Sounds to me like he's about to go and see what's up, man. All the poor people and everything. He's about to get houses and try to get something for them and everything, but could it all been just a play? after knowing that he's a Mason and connected with these other different people and everything, like, I don't know, but you know what I'm saying? But rest up to him. Rest up to everybody we lost who fought for us, for everybody, just for a better place, you know what I'm saying? But it's crazy to hear some of this stuff. Make sure y'all like the video.
According to the info, the family has he bled out on that balcony. Mrs. King didn't mention him being alive in the hospital after in the 1999 trial.
Creep on in, on in, on in.
Right, Canada.
It reads like a how-to guide in historical whitewashing. Are you aware that this new version of the bill from the Senate removes the writings of Frederick Douglass? I am. Are you aware that this new version of the bill from the Senate removes the writings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? Yes. Are you aware that this new version of the bill from the Senate removes the history of Native Americans?
The way the bill is laid out,
that's a yes or no
because
question.
we were very clear that we could not be
new version of
conclusive
the bill
about every single document out there that we
Native
could.
Americans?
I'm going to give you an answer. You're not. This isn't a trial. I'm going to give you an answer.
Okay, I'm ready for the answer.
The way it's set out is so that a teacher can go to different documents and different authors by which to teach from. It's by no means meant to be a conclusive list.
Let me just ask you one more time. Are you aware that this new version of the bill from the Senate removes the history of Native Americans?
Answer it.
It's on page 3 of the side-by-side if you don't have it in front of you.
I believe you.
Okay. Are you aware that this new version of the bill removes mentions of Cesar Chavez?
Yes.
Are you aware that this new version of the bill removes mentions of Susan B. Anthony?
Yes, I am.
Yet the new version of...
So why are they trying to erase all this stuff, y'all? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is they trying to erase all this stuff? And why wouldn't he answer the question when they said about the Native Americans? Like, he answered everything else, but the Native Americans, he wouldn't answer it. Like, he was just like, he wouldn't answer it. He wouldn't say yes or no. So I don't know, man. What they erasing, man? What they trying to hide? What they gonna erase all this stuff so the people, I mean, like our kids in the future, they don't know about. They probably not gonna know about Martin Luther King anyway. The way shit going, you feel me? Make sure y'all like the video.
The bill from the Senate. This is not the bill we all passed as a House, but the Senate's version. It still includes the writings of Alexis de Tocqueville, and he's not even an American. Could that be because he's a white man?
Not exactly.
I had no idea about this before doing research for this video, but there is a very popular theory that James Earl Ray did not kill Martin Luther King Jr. So much so that the King family filed a civil suit against the state saying that they had the wrong man. Up to the point that Martin's son Dexter King was visiting James Earl Ray nearly weekly in prison, talking to him about how they need to get him out. It got to such a point that they put together a committee, also known as the House Select Committee on Assassinations, to determine if MLK was killed by James Earl Ray. Which also on that committee, they rolled the JFK shooting, and you know how I feel about that one. It'd be no secret that the government hated Martin Luther King, doing everything from denying his concealed carry permit to writing him letters in an attempt to make him kill himself. Several believe that perhaps James Earl Ray was just part of a greater conspiracy, and I went down such a rabbit hole with this there will probably be a deeper dive, so stay tuned.
The FBI killed Martin Luther King. Today is MLK Day, and although we celebrate the great heroism and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, many people still don't know the mysterious and dark history behind his untimely death. Many people are familiar with the August 28, 1963 I Had a Dream speech. You probably also know that Dr. King was shot dead on April 4th, 1968 at a hotel in Memphis, Tennessee called the Lorraine Motel. But rumors of the FBI's involvement in Martin Luther King's death predate the actual murder. On March 10th, 1969, this man, James Earl Ray, pled guilty to the assassination of Martin Luther King. And he did all this without a trial. But why? To avoid getting the death penalty, Ray struck a deal with the government where he got a 99-year sentence in exchange for pleading guilty. At his sentencing, Ray jumped out of his seat whenever his lawyer said that he was not involved in the conspiracy. And then 3 days later, he recanted his guilty plea, saying that he was not responsible for King's death. King himself believed the FBI wanted him dead. In 1964, he received this letter, which threatened to reveal damning information on King if he didn't off himself in the next 34 days. This man, William C. Sullivan, worked for this man, J. Edgar Hoover. Hoover was the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation during Martin Luther King's life. The letter was discovered on March 8, 1971, after a group of activists called the Citizens Commission to Investigate the FBI burglarized a local office of the FBI in Media, Pennsylvania, and stole classified documents. The letter is purported to have been written by Sullivan, as it was found amongst his documents. It's believed the letter was part of Operation COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO was an FBI operation aimed at infiltrating, disrupting, and discrediting domestic American political organizations, including those of the like of MLK. To add to everyone's suspicion, this man, Lloyd Jowers, was the owner of a restaurant located right next to Lorraine Motel. He was silent for the first 25 years, but in 1993, he appeared on ABC Live, Primetime Live, and claimed to be part of an alleged conspiracy involving the FBI and the mafia to kill MLK. He claimed that James Earl Ray was just a scapegoat and was not the only person responsible for killing Martin.
I told y'all, man, I didn't think James Earl Ray was like the main dude or something. I think they definitely, like, what's the stuff when they, with the CIA, brainwash you and make you go do stuff like I think they did to my man in Vegas that did the shooting out here. Not COINTELPRO. It's damn, what's the name of it, man? I'm tripping, man. I know the name of it, y'all. Archer, MK Archer. Yep, MK Archer. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, I mean, I know that's a long time ago, mate. I don't even know if they was on that MK Archer stuff way back then, but I feel like maybe they might have did something like that, you know what I'm saying? And had them be involved. But regardless, we just heard the story, like Martin Luther King was alive when he got shot at the hotel. They took him to the hospital. He still was alive. They say he could have survived. So, man, it's like, it's so many things, y'all. So many things, man. So much stuff going on. So much stuff they hide from us. They're trying to hide our history. Everything. Shit crazy out here, y'all.
Luther King. 5 years later, in 1998, Coretta Scott King, Martin Luther King's wife, brought a wrongful death suit against Jowers. A Tennessee jury unanimously decided that Jowers was in part responsible for the wrongful death of Martin Luther King. The jury took an hour to deliberate after a 4-week trial, and the jury also found that there was ample evidence to suggest that government agencies were involved in the conspiracy.
Damn.
The Department of Justice went on the defense, and in June of 2000, they released a 150-page document rejecting the allegations that they were involved in the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Martin Luther King Jr. Day still isn't a thing in all 50 states. Yup, even in 2024. You see, after MLK Day was officially recognized by the federal government in 1986, some states were mad and refused to make it a state holiday. New Hampshire didn't recognize the day at all until 1991 and didn't include King's name in it until 2000. In 1990, Arizona lost the right to host the 1993 Super Bowl after failing to make MLK Day a state holiday. And even though King's name is attached to the holiday in all 50 states, now after Utah and South Carolina got on board in the year 2000, it's not the only name. Yup, in Alabama and Mississippi, the third Monday in January is still known as King Lee Day. Just guess who the Lee is.
He stood here and I stood there. Only as I moved away so he could have a clear shot, the shot rang out. Thank you. I turned around and then knocked him back on the balcony. Listen. Oh. Wait, listen. Listen.
That's crazy. I probably was asleep.
He would slip and stay there. Do you know what happened?
Listen, y'all. Man. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Martin Luther King Day. We went down a rabbit hole. We heard a lot of stuff. A lot of the stuff I didn't heard before. We just don't know what's facts. But the family of Martin Luther King, they sued and they won in court. You know what I'm saying? They decided, our justice system decided that it was some truth to the conspiracy of it was other people involved in his death. Our justice system. So, but I guess it's like a little unwritten rule where, hey, don't say nothing. We all know what's up. We all know Earl Ray, whatever his name was, didn't do it by himself, and we all know it was a play. You know what I'm saying? Definitely the spook who sat by the door. His own homie sat there and just said, yeah, I moved out the way so they can have a clear shot. It might have been a mistake with him saying it. You know what I'm saying? It might have came out wrong. He might have meant to just say, yeah, man, I moved out the way, and then, you know what I'm saying? I guess that's when they had a clear shot, and that's when they shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, y'all. But our history, I just want to say, it's messed up. Everything they taught us, I feel like we got a lot of black spots in it, a lot of shit we really don't know. So we got to do our own research, and we got to keep on learning, y'all. And we got to do it together, you know what I'm saying? So we going to keep on sharing information. Appreciate everybody who tapped in today, man. MLK Day. The doctor, man, salute to him, man. Rest up to everybody who fought for us, fought for equality for all of us. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do a after-hour show, and let's talk about it in that. You know what I'm saying? If y'all got any stories or anything about it, man, let's get on it. But appreciate everybody. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. You know what I'm saying? It's your boy, Thal. I'll see y'all next time, man. Love all y'all. Love all my moderators, man. Appreciate everybody, man. Peace.
Fam over.